What is up, guys? It's been a while. Just a bunch of stuff. Life. Life is what it is. Good, bad, the ugly. It's all good. But back with you working out of my shop tonight. It's Tuesday. So I decided to make a little podcast while I'm working. So one of the biggest questions I get on a day in, day out basis is, how did I get my start? For some reason, people don't want to believe that this 6'6" bearded individual started life and just wanted to be a candle maker from the get-go. And those people would be absolutely correct. I might not have always wanted to be a candle maker, but honestly, from the get-go, business has been in my blood. I've always wanted to own my own business. It started young, mowing lawns, posting flyers, reaching out, doing whatever I could to make a buck, to buy whatever I wanted to be, or whatever an 8-year-old wants. Then it lay dormant for quite some time. School, being a kid, baseball, all of that shenanigans took over. Then the spark kind of got reignited, probably around 16 or 17 years old. Around that time is when all the kind of reality shows about cars came out. Overhauling, Chip Foose and all that, they were center stage. And so I saw for the first time someone that combined their passion with business, and it resonated with me on a deep level. So I thought I was going to own my own custom car shop. My dad did it back in the day. The difference is my dad had mechanical aptitude, and while I had the ability, I knew this much about the automobile industry or how to work on cars outside of changing oil. Way back when, I started a company, more like I registered a business name for what I thought was going to be this great auto customizing shop in Atascadero where I was living. Needless to say, it didn't pan out. Outside of being told I was crazy and had no experience, I was distracted with everything else. I had just finished up high school. I was going to school. I was going to junior college to play football. And really the dream just kind of sat on the back burner without me really doing anything about it. Although that dream might have died, kind of. We'll see what happens in the future. The desire to own my own business never went away. Even through serving, even through school, even through football, that passion still burned. Moved into San Luis Obispo with the woman that is now my wife, and actually started a lawn care business called The Green Gardener. The Facebook is still out there, and I did some pretty badass work, but a couple big deals went south, and I looked at the long term of business versus getting screwed over, and just being young and having all those emotions go through you. After my second deal went south, I bought my first wine barrel and started making wine barrel furniture to deal to wineries, and that actually went over pretty well. Started establishing clientele, started working with some wineries, started doing some craft fairs, but I felt like a component was missing. And one day I saw on the old interwebs candles made out of wine bottles, and I thought, those look pretty simple to make. Something that I can probably do, and it'd go great to complement my current business of wine barrel furniture, so I can go into a winery and give them either or for options to buy from me. So I started that, and neither one really took off because I was still incredibly distracted between woodworking and my new wife and candles, and I was still going to school full time, and I was serving 3 or 4 nights a week at a restaurant, so I was never really able to give my 100% to business. And my wife had applied for Gallo and actually interviewed a few months prior. She got passed up. by a local candidate, so they offered her the job there. So we sat down at dinner, and she's like, "What do you want to do?" And I said, "You chase your dream. I'll stay at home with our daughter," who at that moment was probably, I don't know, 4 or 5 months old. Um, so we moved from SLO, moved up to Napa, and went from a 3-bedroom house with a 2-car garage on a huge house to a super small 2-bedroom, 2-bath apartment. So I couldn't really make furniture anymore. So I focused on candles, and actually that was in October of 2014, and I did my first show here in the Bay Area, January of 2015. Like always, I was still extremely distracted. I had my daughter, I had my wife, and I was actually bartending. At that point, I accepted a new position, so I was bartending 40 plus hours a week at a hotel, but still managed to do both. My life was miserable because of it. On show weekends, I would go to work at 4 o'clock at the bar shift, work until 2, get home, be asleep by 3, wake up at 6, go to the show, work at the show from 8 to 2, leave the show early, go back to Napa from San Francisco to be at work by 4 again, work until 2, and kind of rinse and repeat. And then the next morning, I'd work the Sunday show from 10 in the morning to 4, pack down, go home, and basically collapse from exhaustion. For a solid year of doing, bartending full time and doing shows, and then probably summer of 2016 is when I discovered all these podcasts, these business podcasts, started listening to them, and knew that my heart wasn't in bartending. Even though I love it, that's not where I wanted to spend the rest of my life. I knew I had to break free and start my own thing, but the money was too good, at the bar, so I couldn't just up and quit. I had a house, I had, the typical excuses. After about 6 or 7 months of, going back and forth and not really being able to viably see me quitting, I feel like faith intervened, and I had an issue at work. They told me I couldn't bartend for a year, and I was like, wow, that really sucks, but at the same time, now's the golden opportunity. My safety net was removed, and I had 2 choices. I either could land on my feet and make it work, or play the chicken card, fall flat on my face, and then go find another job and lick my wounds. Chose the former, and actually hustled my balls off until Christmas that year. I got kicked out of the bar November 3rd. Never forget it. The Cubs had just won the World Series, and 2 days later I was without a job. Those first 6 to 8 months were quite the test. Hard to go from living that life, cash every night with a bonus paycheck every 2 weeks, to relying on yourself for income, and not only that, working with clientele and building a brand, building a business, and not seeing a paycheck every week. Needless to say, racked up some debt, which we're working on now, but things are turning around. As I mentioned in previous vlog posts, January 1st, 2017, I had 3 accounts. Continued to reach out to wineries, continued to beat my head against the wall, continued to focus on the money, and things just weren't going my way. I signed up late for a show called the Hop and Vine Festival. It was being held in Santa Clara, and I reached out to every single winery and brewery on that list and said, here's who I am, here's my business. If you would like to have your candles at the show, email me back. From the 30 people I emailed, maybe 8 of them got back to me and spent my anniversary zigzagging Gilroy picking up glass. It paid off. in a big way. The show went great, and not only that, I ended up landing 4 wineries that day in Gilroy, and since then I now have over 12 in kind of that Silicon Valley area. 2017, and I was doing probably 2 or 3 shows a month. There were several months, or several stretches where I would do 4 or 5 shows in a 5 or 6 week span, and just once again kind of trying to burn the wheels off, but it paid off. Closing out 2018, I was up to about 25-ish accounts. I landed probably 4 or 5 accounts in January, and then some in February, and then some in March, and then I've already landed 2 this month, so we're up to like 30 or 35 now. Here we are, April, I don't know, we'll call it April 3rd, 2018. I'm working with 35 accounts. I have a beautiful shop. The business is self-sustaining now. Life is good. Anything that I'm dealing with is first world business problems, as I like to call it. But yeah, Instagram is going strong. If you haven't discovered me off there, my handle is at Rogue Candle Co. Same thing for Facebook. I'm on Twitter. Don't really use it too much, but I'm there at Rogue Candle Co. And then my website is roguecandlecompany.com. If you've made it through the entire video, congratulations. I appreciate it. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. Thank you for listening to me rant. And we will see you next time within the next few days, I promise. Peace. In those first probably 6 months of the show circuit here, I still did both. I still had a bunch of wood and furniture left over that I had brought up and put in a storage shed here, and then had candles. Soon, slowly but surely, the candles took over the booth, and then I want to say it was my birthday of that year, so mid-September, I launched Rogue Candle Company, and just kind of did that. That was my primary business. They established the Crafty Hubby, which is on Instagram, which is on Facebook. In 2011, probably introduced the candles within 6 months after that, and just kind of hustled, did both. And then I graduated with my associates in engineering. Yes, I do have something going on in here. In May of 2013, but I actually decided to kind of switch gears. Kind of got tired of school and went to work at Cal Poly in San Luis Obispo as a gardener, and then I moved into a different position as a light-duty machine operator. Did that for a while, and then I was accepted to Chico for engineering. We're all stoked. We went up to Chico. We're looking at houses, looking at the campus, looking at jobs for my wife, and that's when Napa called.